Joining me now is Chris Landau, former Scalia, and Thomas Clerk, former ambassador to Mexico. Chris, what's the best legal strategy here, given what you've seen thus far? They've selected some of the jurors. They have 5 more to go. But this is moving faster than a lot of people thought.
Yeah, Laura, I'd say this is a pretty target-rich environment in terms of potential issues for appellate review and reversal. One of the crazy things about this is that basically Alvin Bragg, as Mike Davis just said, the Soros-funded DA in New York, has inflated misdemeanor charges into felonies by saying that these alleged misstatements were concealing another crime. Well, that other crime is a alleged federal crime that none of the federal officials, even in the Biden administration Justice Department or the FEC, have sought to. They've investigated, but they haven't done anything.
Yeah, so just to reset, it would be a campaign finance expenditure fraud that was trying to be concealed by the hush money payment. So your point is that Bragg has no authority to make rulings on or make arguments based on federal law, since the feds have not charged the president or found guilt in the president in any of this.
That seems like a pretty strong argument to me, that Alvin Bragg, the New York local DA, doesn't have the authority to enforce federal law.
How does he pursue that claim?
Well, typically, and this is one of the frustrating aspects of our legal system, you can't bring to an appellate court's attention problems that are occurring during the trial until the end of the trial. So unless Trump can get some kind of ruling that has an immediate here and now effect on him, for instance, a contempt sanction for violating the gag order may allow him to appeal the gag order. But basically, you have to finish a trial in order to raise the appeal.
So he won't have standing, you think, in federal court, perhaps before the end of this trial?
Correct. And maybe in federal court, maybe never, because the normal appellate avenue for review from a New York trial court is to go to the New York appellate courts. Right. And you can preserve your federal issues in state courts.
So the due process argument here that the president cannot get a fair trial, given how this is conducted, with the underlying bias of the judge, the political connections, all of that, that goes to the 14th Amendment claim of he can't get due process. On top of that is the First Amendment issue that Saul was talking about, that this is an overbroad order that goes to the fundamental right of an individual to stand against a government trying to imprison him. I mean, that's just shocking for most Americans to hear this.
Yeah, you are absolutely right. And Mike and Saul, I think, had it just right to say this gag order, in other words, we have to separate the gag order from the underlying issues in the prosecution. The gag order is a separate issue. It may be that Trump will have an ability to appeal the gag order if there's an attempt to enforce it upon him against him during the course of the trial. Again, you are 100% right that this is unprecedented, as far as I'm aware, to have a criminal defendant subject to a gag order, particularly one that's non-reciprocal. Like Michael Cohen can say whatever he wants, and Trump can't speak back.
Well, CNN was reporting earlier that their sources, has to be inside the Trump camp, were telling them expect lots of sidebars and preservation of issues on appeal, that they are going to preserve going forward in this trial, because they think they have a very strong case on the underlying unfairness and, again, the overbreadth gag order, making up a federal campaign finance violation, as Andy McCarthy says, not just trying to enforce federal campaign finance law, actually making it up.
Yeah.
That's quite an accomplishment,
Laura,
Mr. Bragg. Good job.
The legal system itself is on trial here, as well as Donald Trump.
Explain that quickly.
Well, I mean, again, the legal system is on trial in front of the whole world. For the first time in American history, we're putting a former president and a current candidate on trial, on a criminal trial, during the middle of the campaign season. And basically, the judge is saying, if you miss one day of trial, I'm going to hold you in contempt. I could put you in jail.
How do we not look like a tin pot dictatorship to the world? I mean, we're always like, we're going to export our values abroad, and we demand that you have what are our values right now?
Well, let me tell you, when I was ambassador to Mexico, if Mexico or another country were doing this to the leading opposition candidate, we would be sending
UN
notes to the government.
UN advisors,
we would be raising a ruckus.
Observers.
This is banana republic stuff at best, Laura.
Back in the years when we were clerking, back in the 90s, would you ever have imagined clerking for Justice Scalia? I would love to hear what he thought about it. Justice Thomas. that this is where we would be in the United States of America? In your wildest dreams, would you ever have thought that?
No, it's crazy on so many levels that this is happening at all. But then the fact that it's happening before a judge who donated to Biden, whose daughter is
involved in campaigns,
who is not recusing himself. I mean, again, if you're going to do this, the judge has to be purer than Caesar's wife, beyond reproach. That's not the case. And so, again, I just think this is very sad for our country. It's very brazen.
Yeah, they donated to Democrats, not to Biden, but clearly Democrat connections. But, Chris, look, they're playing for keeps, and Trump better be ready with everything they're coming at him. Chris, thank you so much. It's great to see you, as always.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.